My name's Walter Briggs, and if you've ever felt the word useless drop out of a family member's mouth and land on you, you know. It doesn't just sting. It scrapes from the inside and stays. Late autumn Saturday, leaden sky over old Brooklyn, Cleveland. I'd just swept the front steps. The smell of wet leaves stuck to my coat, chili still steaming in the kitchen. Browns game barely into the first quarter. Kyle, my son-in-law, 34, pricey sneakers, a watch too big for his wrist, grabbed the keys to my 2018 F-150, silver, extended cab, and laughed. Even at your age, you're still good for something, Walter. A comeback woke up in my throat and I let it go. 3 hours later, he texted, "Demand picked up, I'm using the F-150 this week. Relax." I called. He answered over bar noise and clinking glasses. Be useful for once. If you want to know how, a day later I was at the auto title division asking for a reissue. By late afternoon, call it around 4:20, I was putting a lien on the truck through my credit union, and a little after 9 that night, 2 blue lights bloomed behind my pickup on Portage Trail. Give me a minute, it wasn't revenge. It was consequences in ink. Title reissued, plates canceled, insurance suspended, Ford Pass turned into a map, and one word peeled off my forehead like an old sticker off a toolbox. Little did I know that Sunday, a little after 6 in the morning, when I opened my blue notebook and wrote "Kyle, useless," that line would be the first screw in my rebuild. I was born and raised here, Cleveland, Lake Erie side, industrial electrician for 40 years. Anyone who's worked a substation learns to hear voltage the way you can tell your grandkid's voice in the next room. The right hum, the wrong snap, the dangerous silence. I've brought a grid back during a blizzard on the I-90, held a flashlight through a Super Bowl blackout, and I've seen a wedding in a substation. 2 people met on a shift change and figured iron and sparks were lucky. Martha, my wife, left too soon. Her old pendulum clock keeps time in my living room. Each tick a reminder time doesn't. My low brick house in old Brooklyn has a skinny porch and 2 wicker chairs the breeze makes creak. Out there I've screwed a lot back together. A shelf, an outlet, a heart. My 2018 F-150 was my useful pride. Silver heated seats, saves the back in January. A cover over the bed, just shy of 60,000 miles when fall began. Clean title, in my name tucked in the bedroom safe. I'm old, not stupid. My daughter, Emily, 32, married Kyle 3 years ago. They moved to Parma, small apartment, walls so thin you can hear the neighbor breathe. I helped the way a dad helps, paid the deposit, about $16.50. Swapped the washer's heating element, just under $84 for the part. Loaned the truck when Mason was born, a little after 3:20 in the morning, on February 25th. I brought them home from the hospital with the care you give to Crystal in the future. Family is family, I'd say, and I believed it. Kyle. He introduces himself as a moving entrepreneur. In practice, he hauls things, grabs odd jobs, flips whatever he thinks will sell online. Always owing 200 here, 75 there, always swearing, next week a good chunk's coming in. He's got a smile I can spot from a mile away. The kind that tries to sell you something you don't need with money that doesn't exist. Since Mason was born, my house turned into a real quick depot. Walter, can I borrow your drill? It's for today. Walter, your truck is perfect for a couch. And me, a soft-hearted old fool. I said yes, because I'd watch the boy push a toy car across my living room and forget that the big version eats gas, demands responsibility, and runs on respect. That Saturday, the chili bubbled in the cast-iron pot, paprika warming the nose. The Browns blew a third down, and I could feel Kyle circling the window, eye on my F-150 like a cat watches a fish in the sink. Walter, a quick job in Cuyahoga Falls, just a couch, back in an hour. I'm a man of conditions. Gas tank back where you found it, no downtown runs after dark. Emily sighed. Thanks, Dad. Kyle took the keys, tapped my shoulder, and let loose that line from someone who doesn't know words carry weight. Even at your age. I gave a thin smile. 3 hours slid by and nothing. I called, voicemail, texted. Everything okay? 2 blue check marks, no reply. A little after 6, he finally wrote, Demand picked up. I'm using the F-150 this week. Relax. I called. Third try, he picked up to the sound of glasses clinking and a slot machine spitting coins on a TV over the bar. Kyle, it's my truck. He laughed, wet and mean. Walter, that pickup works harder with me than with you. You barely leave the house. Be useful for once. I hung up. Emily, hunched on the sofa, squeezed her hands until her knuckles went white. Dad, I'll talk to him. Tomorrow. Martha's pendulum clock seemed to tick slower, like an ambulance grinding uphill. Sunday just after 6, my phone buzzed on the nightstand. Notification. Close to 20 missed calls between a little after 1 and almost 4 in the morning. About 24 texts between 1 and 4. I opened the first ones. One more day, please. I'm closing a run. I'll kick you 150, promise. Grumpy old man. Useless. The word just sat there in the middle of the screen like a stubborn fly. I got up, put coffee on, and wrote in my blue notebook. Sun, just past 6. Kyle, a little after 1. Useless. Measures. Under that, I listed what life had taught me. When things warp, go back to the manual. And the manual said, paperwork, insurance, plates, police, don't shout. Show paper. By a few minutes before 9, I was already on Brook Park Road at the Cuyahoga County Auto Title Division. Smell of warm plastic and tired carpet, thick glass at the counters, numbers blinking on a board, whoosh whoosh. Mine popped up, B83. Clerk Nancy, thick frames, the smile of someone who's seen it all. I laid it out like I was writing a line diagram. 2018 F-150, clean title in my name. VIN ending in 3284. Old paper may be out of the safe. Son-in-law took the vehicle. I need a reissue and to kill any old copies. She took my ID, typed. The printer comet hissed. Duplicate title form. You can also sign an affidavit for lost or stolen title. Once we issue the duplicate, the old one's void. If anyone tries to use it, the system flags it. I signed without a shake. She glanced over her glasses. Want to block a sale? Record a lien? A small loan with your credit union locks the transfer until the bank releases it. I walked out with the reissue receipt and that lien idea humming in my head. Called Ted, manager at Lake Erie Federal Credit Union. The same since the early 90s. Ted, I need a small loan with the F-150 as collateral. He chuckled. Walter, you came in with the answer already. Swing by around 1. Late morning, I hit the insurer on Lorraine Avenue and asked for the part that stings. Suspend the policy. Remove Kyle as an authorized driver. The woman typed fast. Mr. Briggs, you're the owner. That shifts the risk to him. If he gets stopped, they tow. I nodded. Then straight to the BMV to report the old title gone and cancel the plates. These plates go invalid. If they run it, it pops as canceled, the clerk said, her stamp thumping like a hammer on a breaker panel. I sat at George's kitchen, black coffee, apple pie, and my phone buzzed. Emily. Dad, Kyle says he's going to sell the truck. He sent a photo of the title. It has your signature. I asked her for quiet. Honey, the old title got voided today. That signature isn't mine. Breathe. I'm on the right path. The words forged signature chewed at my gut. I opened Ford Pass, the one Mason synced for me on an April Sunday, and there it was, the blue dot. My F-150 parked at a place called Red Lantern in Cuyahoga Falls. I didn't have to imagine the smell. I know roadside bars, old grease, carpet-soaking beer. I called their non-emergency line, said what it was. Vehicle I own, plates canceled, insurance suspended, exact location, not a theft, unauthorized use. I wrote down the name, Officer L. Jennings. Mr. Briggs, if it rolls, we stop it. Parked on private property, we need the owner's say-so. You can come talk to an officer. Before heading over, I stopped at the credit union. Ted shook my hand with a working man's grip. $3,000, token rate, lien goes on as soon as your new title hits. Your pickup turns into a pebble in any hustler's shoe. I signed. He slid me a copy and a look with weight to it. A boundary is love, Walter. Don't confuse being useful with being used. I grabbed an Uber to Cuyahoga Falls. The sky turning that purple, that means afternoon is giving up tonight. The red lantern glowed a dirty red, smelled like fry oil and stitched together jukebox music. My F-150 sat 2 spots from the door, a blue tarp over the bed tied down with a tow strap, a fresh dent on the left rear bumper I didn't recognize. I felt the resentment rise, but my hand went cold, the way it does when you grip pliers in thick gloves in winter. I went in. Same old ungentle place, a TV yelling about a touchdown from a game I wasn't watching. Open-mouthed laughter, backward caps. Kyle sat in a corner with 2 guys stacking crumpled 20s. He lifted his chin when he saw me. "Look who showed, useless grandpa." My voice came out flat. "Kyle, the title got reissued today. The old one's void. The insurance is suspended. Plates are canceled. If you drive that truck, the first patrol car will end the ride. I don't argue in bars, I just warned you." He spun his phone and showed a photo of the old title with a long signature that wouldn't look like mine even if I were shaking from hypothermia. I just shook my head and walked out. Went to the station. Sergeant Ramirez listened like he was reading an electrical diagram, line by line, checking every connection. I showed the title receipt, the plate cancellation, the insurance suspension, the Ford Pass location. "If he rolls, we'll light him up. Wait around the corner. Better if you're not in his line of sight." I parked myself at the Falls Diner. Ordered coffee and apple pie that always seems hotter than it is. My hands shook. I wrapped both around the cup. Around 9:20, Ford Pass traced a path. The dot crept out of the lot and turned right. I pinged the location to Ramirez. Through the front window, lights splashed the glass. Blue and red dancing on the faces turned to look. An officer walked up to the driver's window. I saw my own dented bumper and felt it like a rib I once tweaked lifting a breaker box wrong in my late 50s. "License and registration," the cop said. Kyle talked loud, thrust his phone with the photo of the dead title. The sergeant, calm, answered, "Canceled plates, suspended insurance, old title invalid, the vehicle's getting towed." Kyle looked at me for the first time without that sneer. A little drift of fear moved across his iris. "You're going to destroy me over a truck?" "No. I refuse to be destroyed on the inside by your lack of respect." About 20 minutes later, the tow truck rolled in. The cable's groan always takes me back to substation steel, an iron song that promises order. My F-150 climbed slow, like everything that weighed on me was shifting into the metal. My phone wouldn't stop buzzing. Close to 20 missed calls. A couple dozen messages spitting guilt like a busted soda machine. "You're cruel. I was working. I'm telling Emily. She's going to hate you." The sergeant handed me a card with the impound yards number and said, "Pick it up tomorrow with the title. You did it the right way." Emily called while the lights were still washing my face. "Dad, Kyle said you had it towed." "I didn't order it. The law did, honey. I just stopped paying to be insulted." On the other end, the kind of silence you get when someone's trying to separate where the hurt starts from where the habit ends. Next morning, Auto Title Division on Brook Park Road. Nancy clocked my beat-up coat right away. "Mr. Briggs, your title's ready, and the Lake Erie lien's already showing." That glossy paper has a weight a photo can't catch. The ink spoke for me. I headed to the Akron impound. Hot rubber and old oil in the air. I paid the fee, showed the new title, and that final click of the key sounded prettier than any song on the radio. I drove up the I-77 with autumn sun shattering across the neighboring windshields, cold air slipping in through the cracked window just so I could feel alive. I went straight to Neil's garage at the VFW. Heavy padlock, fresh wire in the corner where the rats get bold. Swapped the plates for temporary tags I picked up at the BMV, those white temps that mostly read like a warning. Don't even try. By week's end, the predictable happened. Our Ohio version of Nextdoor, the Parma Community Board on Facebook, started buzzing with a generic post. Sad when controlling seniors hurt young workers. Prayers for peace. The photo was some random pickup, not mine, but rumor doesn't care about details. And Linda, not my Linda, the Ryan's mother-in-law kind every town seems to have, piped up, "Bitter old folks." My response? Nothing. I sent my lawyer, Denise Carter, a manila envelope stuffed with copies. The reissued title, canceled plates, suspended insurance, the report from the night before. She drafted a letter that was calm and heavy, the way lightning hits a big tree. Facts. The truck belongs solely to Mr. Briggs. The duplicate title was issued mid-morning under ticket B83. Plates were canceled before noon. Insurance suspended just after. Unauthorized use at night led to impound for invalid registration. Any contrary statement is defamatory and will be addressed under the law. She asked the group admins for a retraction. No retraction came. Silence did. Sometimes that's enough. The letter from Denise that mattered, though, was another one. Title: Notice of Boundaries and an Invitation to Make It Right. It ended with what she taught me. Boundaries without an invitation become a wall. An invitation without boundaries turns into a revolving door. The notice said that from here on out, anyone who insulted me, took my things, or treated my house like an extension of their will would lose privileges. No more "Dad, do me a solid." No more "Cover the electric bill just this month." No more "Loan me some until the money hits." Alongside that, an invitation. Family therapy with Dr. Harrell, Wednesday night around 7, on Detroit Avenue. Show up, door open. Don't show, door resting on the latch. Emily read the letter at my dining table, hands on her knees like when she was 12 and I told her Martha wasn't coming back. "Dad, I'm ashamed." Shame's a tool that points to what needs fixing. Let's use it. Kyle. He posted stories. Injustice. Controlling old man. My work. I shut the internet off in my head. When it was time for therapy, his chair sat empty with his name on it. Text from him: "You're sick, Walter. I was just trying to work." Dr. Harrell, with the voice of someone who's taught a lot of grown-ups to talk like people. Working doesn't authorize abuse. The public counterpunch that gave me real satisfaction came from where I didn't expect. The VFW. When Neil heard the whole story, he handed me the mic on bingo night and said, "This here's Briggs. 40 years on the job without flaking, set poles in the snow and set his own dignity back on its feet with a reissued title. If that's not a model of civilian backbone, I don't know what is." People clapped. I'm not a crier, but my eyes warmed. It wasn't about a truck. It was about not letting someone slap a spit-stuck sticker that says "useless" on my forehead. Someone who doesn't know a nut from a bolt. The days that followed were loud with quiet, the kind you hear between your ribs. I tidied the edges of my life. Walks at Edgewater Park, cold air that rinses your thoughts, a woodworking class at the rec center. I made a key rack with WB branded into it, coffee with Ted at the credit union, talk of rates and fishing. I thought about selling the F-150, made a list in the blue notebook. Why sell? Why keep? Sell. Cut the tie to a bar night and an ugly word. Keep. Remember I took back what was mine without shouting. Remember I liked to drive. Remember I promised myself I'd go see the lake up by Traverse City up close, eat cherry pie with a bad crust and laugh anyway. I kept it. A couple months later, morning with the smell of promised snow, Kyle showed up on my sidewalk, hands in his pockets, no oversized watch, no backward cap. His face was missing that layer of arrogance he wore like a jacket. "Walter," he said quietly, "I wound up in court over the tickets. Lost points, lost clients, sold my phone. I was an idiot. I wanted to look big." "Words weigh something," I said. He nudged a dry leaf with the toe of his shoe. "I know you're not useless. You've helped me more than my dad ever did." The word "dad" in his mouth made a noise I wasn't ready to hear. I breathed slow, the cold air cutting my nose. "I'm not a bank and I'm not an enemy. I'm family, with boundaries. If you take a commercial driver's license course, if you stick with therapy, if you respect my home and my daughter, I'll lend you the F-150 manual and teach you how to change the oil. That's it. The rest is on you." He nodded, didn't hug me, didn't promise the impossible. He left. Emily came by later with Mason and a box of Jack Frost donuts. "Boston cream?" she asked. "Always," I said. For a good minute, the kitchen smelled like Martha. At Christmas, dinner at their place. Turkey, mashed potatoes, broccoli nobody wanted, but I ate. Kyle took out the trash without being asked, washed the dishes without a speech, handed me a small box, a brown leather keychain with my initials, WB, stamped in like a cattle brand. He smiled without too many teeth. So you don't lose your keys. I lose names sometimes, but I keep track of keys, I said. I fixed the dented bumper with my own money. I didn't charge him, not because he didn't owe it, but because I didn't want to hang that debt on the wrong hook. In my notebook, last page of the year, just past 11 at night, I wrote, "Useless only has power when you hand over the key to your own name." Tonight, the key's on my keychain. Some folks want fireworks at the end. Sometimes the most satisfying payback is a clear, patient boundary. Reissue the title, cancel the plate, suspend the insurance, call the patrol car, reclaim the truck, go home, and let consequences, cold and unhurried, teach what yelling never does. That night in Cuyahoga Falls, when blue light washed the tail of my F-150, I didn't see a trophy. I saw a mirror. I saw a whole man, 68 years of light and shadow, who climbed back behind the wheel of his own life. If someone asks me today, and they always do, hands in their pockets carrying the shame of a similar story, what did you do when they called you useless and took your truck? I answer, while looking at Lake Erie, where the water teaches persistence. I reissued the title, canceled the plates, suspended the insurance, called the police, took back what was mine, and invited the one who hurt me to make it right without crushing me. Respect is a two-lane road. It's the only kind I'll drive. Subscribe to the channel and share your thoughts about the story in the comments. See you in the next one.